This is the second time that I have recorded this today. The first time, I ended up not liking the way that the footage looked, but I bought a teleprompter. I thought it's a great idea, and it is a great idea because with these videos, my microphone, put that down. With these videos, I want to not just ramble on like a mad woman, which I'm still going to do anyway. I want to more intelligently talk about the books that I have read other than rambling on about, yeah, this was good or yeah, this was not good. I spent about 2 hours this morning trying to get the stupid thing set up to where it works with my camera. Had to pull out the big camera tripod because it's heavy, you know, it's a big piece of plexiglass. And then I go through the whole thing. It works very well, but I didn't like how the video looked, so I'm gonna redo it. And here we are. Hello, cats and kittens, and welcome back. I did not mean for as long of a time period to go between video and video, but that's okay. I am going to do them weekly, and we are starting with V.E. Schwab, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. This book was recommended to me by multiple people. And then when some people saw that I was reading it, they were like, oh, you're gonna love this book. And for the most part, the book is fine. I have some thoughts on it. Let's get into it. The book itself comes in at a whopping 446 pages of very thin, condensed text. What is a great thing about this book is in the very, very back, there's a couple of pages of questions and topics for discussion. So if you are in a book club, if you're reading it with a group of people, you could sit down and thoroughly discuss the book. I love that. I think that's great. So the book. The book is set in 1700s France, in a very small town in France, in the French countryside. And the star of our book is Addie LaRue. She goes by Addie. So Addie is a dreamer. Addie doesn't want to be tied down. She wants a different life than the life that her mother is leading and other women in her small French countryside town are leading. She befriends, or is friends, with this fabulous woman named Estelle. And Estelle, I guess you could describe kind of as a witchy character. She teaches Addie about praying to the old gods. She's a wise woman. She's fabulous. I love Estelle. Addie gets set up into an arranged marriage with a man that is in the town. He's widowed. He's got 2 small kids. And this is not, again, the life that Addie wants to lead. She does not want kids. She doesn't want to be tied down. And I think more importantly, she does not want to be married to a man that she doesn't love. So here's where the story really begins. She runs away prior to the wedding. It's the afternoon, and she starts praying to the old gods to answer her prayers. The afternoon turns to dusk. The dusk turns to evening. And as it turns into night, an old god answers her prayer. It's important to note here, I need to go back a little ways, that while Estelle is teaching her about the old gods, she gives her one important piece of information. Never pray to the old gods who answer after dark. I mean, first of all, that's good advice, just generally. Don't pray to the old gods who answer after dark. And in Addie's desperation, she ends up praying to the old gods who answer after dark, and an old god answers her prayer. So in the early evening, an old god appears. She assigns the name Luke to the old god to give it humanity, I guess, for lack of a better way to say it. And she sells her soul to Luke. Just a little transactional tip for you. Be real clear and really obvious about what you want. Addie eventually gets some clarity about what she wants. But in the beginning, as she is talking to this old god who has appeared in front of her, she's upset. She's frantic. Here's this creature standing in front of her. She sells her soul for freedom, for independence, for not belonging to anyone, and Addie will relinquish her soul to Luke, the old god, quote, when she is done with it. So that's her answer to his, you have to give me a time frame. I'm going to take your soul, and here's when I can expect to get the goods for my services transaction. Again, just a tip of selling your soul to the old gods or the devil. In exchange, Addie gets freedom, but with every soul selling transaction, there's a twist, right? Freedom in the form of no one remembers who she is. So I could be talking and I can turn away and I look back and I'm talking to a person that I don't know, that I don't remember. So you see a stranger every time. Her family does not remember her. Estelle does not remember her. She is now a stranger. She's no one. The book time jumps right off the bat. We alternate through two different timelines, Addie in the past and Addie moving forward in future. We're following her as she learns to be this new immortal being. On the anniversary each year, give or take, of the selling of the soul, Luke appears. And he's like, hey, are you ready to give me your soul? She's like, no. This happens and this goes along for 300 years. We land in New York City in 2013, 2014, when in a bookstore where she stole a book the day before, she goes back the next day. The guy behind the counter remembers her. This is the first person to remember her in over 300 years. Here's where the twist in the book comes in. And I'm not going to completely give I'm not going to spoil it to an extent. Hear me out. It amounts to she has encountered someone who remembers her for the first time in 300 some odd years, who has entered into his own deal with the same old god for different reasons. And so, of course, they form a romantic relationship. I'm going to leave it at that. Wikipedia pretty much spoils the entire book. It kind of gives away the ending. I'm not going to link it in the description below, but if you don't want to read the book and you just want to know what happens, Wikipedia has it laid out for you, which is a bummer, which that just goes to show why I am not going to look anything up about the books that I'm going to read. So my thoughts. I have many. We are going to start with the good stuff. Let's start with the positive and on the negative, and then we're going to talk about next week. I enjoyed the book in parts. The atmosphere to it is delightful. It's completely immersive, especially in the very beginning couple of chapters in the book. There were times that I did get lost in the description and in the narrative of the book in a very good way. The book did tug at my heart. I didn't cry with the twist, but I did get a little down in the dumps when we learn the big deal to the story. The book is about 100 pages too long. I think it's too long. I think that there are many parts of it that are too repetitive. No one remembers who Addie is, and it's painful. Yes, it would be very painful to be forgotten, but the fact that it is so overly established and it's so repetitive, I think loses its emotional effect. I got tired of reading about how she was forgotten. That took so much of the enjoyment out of the book for me. Also, we hear about Addie's freckles. She has 7 freckles across her face. It's called her constellation. They're on the cover of the book. Okay, we get it. You have freckles. Another thing mentioned a lot, she's got a type. She has a boy type. It is guys with curly black hair, and boy, is it mentioned a lot. Addie doesn't evolve much. She is 23 and she is perpetually 23. She's intelligent, but she's self-centered and I think a little naive, and I don't feel that there was any kind of evolution to her character. It was the same stuff all the time. I didn't warm up to her, and I thought that she, as a character, I thought she was flat. There's a sexual relationship between Addie and Luke, and that really put me off. You sold your soul to him. He is effectively your captor. There's power there. It's just, I get that this is a romancy fancy book, but just, he's your captor. I really had a problem with that. I do admit, though, I like Luke as a character, and then I like Estelle as a character. Addie as a character is way down the list. That's it. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I liked it for the atmosphere and the new take on Faust, which is the OG selling your soul to the devil story. Would I read it again? No, probably not. 3 out of 5. It's average. It's good for what it is. Next week I am talking about Bret Easton Ellis, and I am talking about Less Than Zero, a book that I thought was so good I could hit you with it. And Less Than Zero's sequel, Imperial Bedrooms. There's going to be a lot of trigger warnings for that discussion. And I do want to say just right off the bat, if you have seen the movie Less Than Zero and you haven't read the book, the movie is not the book. The characters are the same and the locations are the same. Let me take it back. The character names are the same. It was a wild ride. We're going to be doing this weekly, and I'm going to keep on reading. And I will see you next time, teleprompter or not. Bye.